Hi, Davey Cretin here for Cretin Classics. I hate to do these videos, but I feel like I should do this one. I want to honor a great record producer who passed away today. Today is April 22nd, 2025, as I'm recording this. And this video is in tribute to Roy Thomas Baker. Now, he passed away 10 days ago on August 12th of 2025, but they just announced it today, April 22nd, 2025. He was born in England, November 10th, 1946, a fellow Scorpio just like me, although he was born decades before me. He was born in Hampstead, northwest London. He passed away in America, in Arizona, in Lake Havasu City. Mr. Baker was a record producer, an arranger, and a songwriter. Started working at Decca Records at 14 years old. He must have been a gopher or something, answered phones, helped people like an assistant. Later on, he moved to Morgan Studios as an assistant engineer. And Gus Dudgeon, who was Elton John's producer at the time in the early 70s, took Mr. Baker under his wing and trained him. He must have seen something in him, because there he moved to Trident Studios and he worked with Gus Dudgeon, Tony Visconti, famous producer who worked with Thin Lizzy, T-Rex, a lot of other people, David Bowie. He worked with Jagger and Richards and even Frank Zappa. So everyone saw something in a young Roy Thomas Baker. Now, Trident's record company, Neptune, was co-founded by Roy Thomas Baker, and it was there that he met Queen. Did 5 classic 1970s albums with Queen. He produced the debut self-titled album. He produced Queen 2, the follow-up, an underrated, excellent gem in their catalog. He produced Sheer Heart Attack. He produced The Night at the Opera, their 4th record. That's the one with Bohemian Rhapsody. That's what he's famous for. Those vocal harmonies he got out of the guys, the way he stacked them and recorded them. The only bands who had really done that before were The Sweet, who were very small in America but huge in England and Europe, and Uriah Heep. Uriah Heep may have started it all. But those great vocal harmonies, Roy Thomas Baker brought them to Queen, and some bands we're going to get to in a moment. And the 5th Queen record he worked on, he left them for a few albums to work with other bands and artists. Came back for Jazz, their last studio record of the 70s, 1978. Another great record, diverse, all over the place. So he did those 5 classic albums with Queen out of their 7 studio albums in the 70s. Then he signed to CBS Records, had a deal with them. He worked with Journey on the first 2 albums with Steve Perry. Now, the great thing about these records, they were rock albums. They weren't pop albums yet, because on keyboards and vocals still in the band was Greg Raleigh. So those first 3 Journey albums with Steve Perry rock, Greg Raleigh is still in the band. They're all great records, probably towards the top of my list, but I'll get to a Journey album ranking eventually, and Queen too. In fact, Tom Curless from Curless Mania is going to be on my channel, and we're going to be doing a Queen show in the very near future, in the late spring, early summer, hopefully sooner than later, but we both have busy schedules. Also there, he recorded Star Castle. He produced 2 Star Castle albums, not the self-titled debut, but he did Fountains of Light and Citadel. 2 Star Castle albums in 1977. That's why he wasn't working with Queen on their 77 album. He also worked with Ian Hunter, Ronnie Wood from the Stones. Then he did some of my favorite albums of all time. And speaking of Tom Curless, I'm doing a series right now with Tom Curless on Curless Mania, and we've done 3 out of these 4 albums. The first 4 Cars albums Roy Thomas Baker did. Self-titled, Candio, Panorama. We've done shows on them. They're up on Curless Mania. Check those out. And he did the 4th album, Shake It Up, which Tom and I are recording very soon. So that should be out sometime in May on Curless Mania. And his work on those Cars albums, the songs that Rick wrote, the production, the way you hear all 5 members of the band. You got the ear candy with those backing vocals, the cool Greg Hawkes keyboards, amazing stuff. Just like the 4 members of Queen. It almost sounds like these bands are orchestras. and the way Roy Thomas recorded them and produced them, chef's kiss. Amazing, amazing stuff. Some other bands he worked on: Far and Ahead Games, a great album. Alice Cooper, Flush the Fashion. I'm pretty sure that's the record that has Clones. We're all clones. Clones were all in parentheses. Great song. It's new wave. Fantastic Alice Cooper song. I've always loved that song. Worked with Cheap Trick in the early 80s. Devo. I mean, he went new wave. He worked on the first Motley Crue record. Joe Lynn Turner's 1985 solo album, formerly of Rainbow at the time. Great song on there called Endlessly Beautiful Ballad. Recommend you listen to that. Sterling production on it. He worked on John Anderson's Christmas album from 1985, Three Ships. One of my favorite Christmas albums. Underrated album. I think it's still hard to find on CD, or it was when I worked in the record stores anyway. He worked on a great Ozzy record, 1988's No Rest for the Wicked. First one with Zakk Wylde. Excellent album, great catchy choruses, but it's still a heavy hard rock album. Ozzy, he retained Ozzy's cojones, yet gave it a nice sheen, where it's catchy and pleasing to the ear. He worked with The Darkness, British band known for their histrionic vocals and just the sense of humor of The Darkness. He produced them. Worked twice with the Smashing Pumpkins, a band I saw for the first time a couple of years ago at Madison Square Garden. And he did Chris Squire's final Yes album in 2014, Heaven and Earth. Now, I know it's not a great Yes album, and it's going to rank sort of low on when I get to my Yes album ranking, but they've got close to 24 studio records. But not everyone's a gem, unfortunately, and although he finally worked with Yes after an aborted attempt in 1979, he didn't work on one of the best Yes albums, sadly. No John Anderson on that album. Just wanted to let you know that in his late 50s, probably 60s, I have a picture I'm going to show you, he still had his long hair. Check it out. He kept his hair long, Roy Thomas Baker, with the long white hair, just like Jim Steinman. And I'm going to be doing the same thing. So in that photo, he's approximately my age. Now to finish up this video fast, just want to let you know some other bands he worked with throughout the years, mostly in the 70s and 80s. He worked with the band Free, Paul Rodgers' blues rock band before Bad Company. He worked with Nazareth, an underrated hard rock band from Scotland. He worked with Hawkwind, the space rock pioneers. He worked with the Tramps, an American funk rock band. It was before Disco Inferno. He worked with Bebop Deluxe, Bill Nelson, a very underrated guitar player, and Bebop Deluxe made 5 stellar albums back in the 70s. Pilot, he didn't work on the album with the song Magic. He worked with them before that. They have about 3 or 4 records. He worked with Dusty Springfield. I mean, there's a lot of diverse artists that he worked with. He wasn't pigeonholed. He just didn't work within one genre. He moved around. T'Pow, if you remember them from the late 80s, they had that hit Heart and Soul. He worked with them. Slade, a British rock institution, worked with them in the late 80s. The Stranglers, punk band from England, post-punk, whatever you want to call them, one of Martin Popoff's favorite bands. He worked with the Stranglers. Dangerous Toys, the American hard rock, glam, hair metal band, whatever you want to call them. And he worked with Local H in the 90s. Now, they're the band, post-grunge, I would say. They had a hit called Bound for the Floor, but most people don't know it as that. They know it as the Copacetic song. It's like a slacker rock type song. You just don't get it. You think it's copacetic. It's called Bound for the Floor. Roy Thomas Baker worked with them. So for 5 decades, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and into the 2010s, he worked on a lot of records. So thank you, Roy Thomas Baker, for producing all these great albums that we love. It's not just one band he worked with. He worked with a multitude of bands, myriad bands, and he did amazing work. So thank you, Roy Thomas Baker. Rest in peace. We appreciate everything you've done in music, and you'll be missed. Thanks a lot, Davey Cretin, for Cretin Classics. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.